This is my review of My Hero Academia. So in this episode, we're introduced to the big three, which consists of Mirio, who we've already seen, Nijiri Hado, who is the female of the group, and Tamaki Achichiri, who is the third member of the group. So they're asked to come in to talk to the rest of the group about hero work studies, and basically that's what they're there to do. They're there to teach Class 1A what hero work studies actually are. So Tamaki is asked to get up first and speak, but since he's shy, he kind of doesn't, and then spends most of the episode staring at a wall because he's too shy around other people to actually talk to any of them about what it is they're actually supposed to be doing. Then there's Nijiri, who is a bit of a bubbly social butterfly. She's the first time we actually see her, she's asking everybody a bunch of questions about their quirks and how they work. So it implies that she's very curious and very, very inquisitive. However, this starts to upset Aizawa, who is upset that things are going very off course. So Mirio decides to help steer things back on course by not only introducing himself, and indeed Deku is familiar with him because he immediately recognizes who this guy is, and he remembers how much he struggled last year during the sports festival. It should be noted, the big three all start during the sports festival. They didn't do very good, but they did eventually get better, for reasons that are explained to be part of their work studies. So they did eventually learn how to be better at their using their quirks. However, Mirio left the biggest impression as the way his quirk worked. His pants and clothes fell off, and he wound up flashing everybody in the stadium. So that happened. But yeah, Mirio gets everybody back on track and decides that he feels like it would be better to explain with actions rather than words, and invites Class 1A to take him on in a fight, which they kind of don't really have much of a choice in the matter to do. So they go to one of the gym pavilions where they go to fight against Mirio. And Mirio is quickly established to be a bit hard to actually pin down. So everybody thinks that he's being a little cocky, just taking them all on like 20-1, but that's not exactly what's happening here. So they're actually severely outclassed, as Mirio's quirk, later revealed to be the quirk permeation, enables him to travel through things, and that causes a lot of problems for Class 1A because they can't actually land a hit on him. He not only does he teleport all over the place via his quirk, but he also it's very hard to actually land a hit on him since he's transparency, since his quirk just lets things pass through him. Therefore, very few people can actually land a hit on him. Deku comes close. He's able to analyze Mirio's fight patterns and figure out how he fights, but it doesn't wind up working out, and eventually all of Class 1A is beaten senseless on the floor. So at which point he puts his clothes back on and explains just exactly how it is his quirk works. As I said, his quirk is permeation, which enables him to pass through things. And while not a very powerful quirk in itself, as Mirio explains, it's through his hero work studies that I actually managed to learn how to master his quirk. Pointing out that before, his quirk didn't allow him to actually see things so long as his quirk was active, but he couldn't use any of his senses while his quirk was active, since they just passed through him, which, yeah, obvious, but because things passed through his quirk, he had to learn how to plan ahead and make predictions to actually better himself as a combatant and actually win fights. Because, let's be honest, if you can't see what's hitting you, you probably aren't going to do too well in a fight. Let me be perfectly honest. Basically while his quirk is active, as long as it's around his head, he's basically blind, deaf, and dumb. He can't hear or see anything. And as far as we know, he can't even speak. And he also can't breathe. So yeah, so he had to work really hard on actually using his quirk to benefit himself. So he explains that his hero work studies actually helped him because now he knows how to actually fight better as a person, and points out that he was able to turn his experience into power, which Deku understands and is motivated by, because Deku's trying to do the same thing. He's trying to uphold the legacy of his mentor and friend All Might. He's trying to learn how to better himself as a hero, and he realizes in this moment that the best way to do that is through experience. But in any case, after Mirio gives his pep talk, the Class 1A goes back to the classroom and parts ways with the big three, at which point Najiri asks Mirio who he thought stood out to him the most, and his obvious answer is Deku, because he points out that Deku was able to analyze his fight patterns, and land a counterattack. So, yeah, as I said, Deku was the only person who came close to actually hitting him, but Mirio, through his combat experience, was able to overpower him anyway. So, yeah, he realizes that Deku might be one of the stronger fighters in Class 1A. But in any case, they all go back to the dorm rooms, and everybody gives Bakugo their trash, which Bakugo is upset by, because he points out that it kind of feels like they've been hoarding their trash for a while, and feels like it's kind of unfair to just jump it on the guy who was on house arrest. So yeah, that's a thing that happens, and he is very upset by it. But in any case, everybody in Class 1A was dismissed after being told by Aizawa that they didn't really know how they were going to proceed with hero work studies, considering they're first year students, and they're not entirely sure how to handle it with media and stuff like that. But they point out that eventually they are going to figure it out. But until then, they just need to sit tight and let the teacher council actually figure things out. So yeah. So now everybody's just waiting for their hero work studies to kick off. And Deku, while he's waiting, decides to take initiative and call up Gran Torino, who he points out that he knows he's not experienced, and he wants to actually try and make himself experienced, and hopes Gran Torino will be able to help him in that department, because Gran Torino did take him on for his internships and hoped that he would be able to do the same for his hero work studies. But Gran Torino dismisses him, pointing out that he's a little busy, but asks him to ask All Might, pointing out that there are, in fact, other connections that he could go through. And sure enough, he points out that maybe All Might's old sidekick would be able to help. And sure enough, toward the end of the episode, we're introduced to Sir Night-Eye. We never actually officially hear his name, but he is introduced in this episode. He's introduced at the very end of the episode as a recurring character for season 4. I can't count, apparently. Alright, but in any case, he's introduced in season 4, and he's, according to his assistant, whose name I do not know because they did not tell us, according to his assistant, they've been keeping an eye on Overhaul for a while now. They've been watching his comings and goings, and he finds out, much to his chagrin, that he has officially joined up with the League of Villains, which means he's now going to be working with the League of Villains rather closely. But in any case, yeah, now Sir Night-Eye has been introduced to the character. He's going to be important, and now Overhaul is working with the League of Villains, so he's going to be important as well. But yeah, this episode was an interesting way to end off season 4. It just sets up all of the plot threads for the next season, and we're going to be seeing the whole Overhaul arc, or whatever it's called, which I should mention is one of the longest arcs in My Hero Academia at this moment in time. It is the longest one. So yeah, it's going to be quite a while. That we're going to be seeing this one for quite a while. So yeah, just bear with me. This is the longest one in the series. But I hope it's worth it, because it is definitely long. So yeah, this episode did a great job at establishing that yes, Mirio had to work really hard at using his quirk, and I'm interested to see what the other big three are able to do with their quirks as well, because we didn't get to see their quirks. We only got to see who they are and what their personalities are. We didn't get to see their quirks. So I'm interested to know what kind of quirks they have and how they're going to work, I guess. We still haven't seen their quirks. I said that 3 times, but still, it's a point that bears repeating. We haven't seen their quirks yet, but we have seen Mirio's, and if Mirio is that hard to hit, I can only imagine that the other two will be equally so. So So yeah, overall, this episode just sets up a bunch of plot lines for season 4, which we're going to need to going forward. But yeah, until season 4, I'll see you guys next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, then what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get extra a bunch of cool perks that are my way of saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!